Okay, so we've got the templates working. I'm going to try and finish it up in this movie clip here. Next step is we want to start tying it into the data source. So we're going to start working with these web components, and we're going to access this variable that we sent in and initialize the tab. So let's use person as our starting point. So person, the onload for a web component is a little different than an onload of a document. And if we go to outline, we're in the component here, outline, document, and see that you don't get any events. What you want to do is actually go to the project browser, and you take the corresponding component into the JavaScript, and you'll see there's a this onload, and this is where you'll put code similar to an onload for a document. So first thing we'll do is we'll bring in the variable. So we know that it's a person type because we're in person.js, so we can assume that because this is the template that got loaded. However, we need to access the ID. So we go like this: var vid equals data dot user data dot what did we call it, vid, and that should bring in the ID. Just to verify that, I'm going to do a quick debug. So let's go back to Firefox, we'll reload, we'll add a person. And did I get the debugger fire? Yes, I did. No, hold on, let's do that again. So let's see what this here is equal to. Put it as a new watch expression. No, I'm not getting it properly. So let's see what we're getting here in the data parameter. So we got ID. Let's open this up. Data user VI. Oh no, that's our watch statement, sorry. So you can see here that user data is empty, so we've got to figure out what's happening. Maybe I did this incorrectly in the function. Just read through this. Now potentially I've got these reversed because the example I'm looking at doesn't have both of them being called, so let's try doing that first and then that. So let's give that a try instead. Add person. No, we're really not getting that. Oh, I took the debugger out. What am I talking about? I'm just going to take a second away from the video, figure this out, and I'll get back to you. Okay, so the documentation was updated, and I've got this incorrect here. Just going to fix it up. So what we need to do is we need to specify an object, and we have path with the path, then comma, user data, and then the variable inside of there. So So let's give that a try. I think I'm all right there as far as... No, I need another closing curly brace. There we go. Let's give that a try. Refresh. Add person. We get our debugger. Let's see what this value is now. See if the ID got passed in properly. Or actually, there we go. So it came in as a 0, which is what we're expecting. Good. Okay, we're over that hurdle. So let's play that out. So when now we know that we've got a new item, we can close this function now because we're done. We're now working within the component. We can close this component template. We don't need it anymore. So we're going to fix up person, and then we're going to copy or assimilate this similar code to the different components. So we know we've got the right ID. So now we need to initialize the data source. So we know we have two cases, new and existing. So if the ID equals 0, we know it's new. Else, oops. Else we know that it's an existing entry. So if it's an existing one, I'm going to do this first. Sources dot person, that's the name of the data source we had, dot query. Or we could do a find because it's only going to return 1. ID equal to we'll do this syntax, the placeholder $1 and VID, and that should put the current person in that data source. So as you might have guessed, the goal is, we're going to try and do this, is when we double click in this list, it's going to go through everything we've just created, except rather than creating new, it's going to search for the existing person and bring up their detailed page. Now the one thing you want to consider that I won't be able to tackle in this video is that this data source is specific to this web component. It's not, you can specify them global, but then it shares with the main application. I wanted it to be compartmentalized, so somehow you're going to have to communicate back to the main application so that those tabs can get updated, the changes to this person, and I could do that, but I'm not going to explore it in this movie. And to create a new one, we are going to do sources.person.add new element, and sources.person.server refresh, and what that does is sends it back to the server for validation and an ID. And we could put an on success, but I'm not going to. And that should work. So let's go here and put a debugger just to make sure it's firing in the right places. So if we reload, add person, yeah, we're getting it in the right spot, so it's going to make a new entity. And theoretically we should be able to save that. So let's see if that works. Let's take out this debugger. Let's go to the person. Let's add a button here. Let's give it a label save, bsave, events on click, and sources.person.save. Let's try that. So we'll reload, add a new person, Dave Henry. Oh, where's our button? Maybe we didn't save. Yes, we did. Let's try that again. Refresh. So for some reason we're not getting the button here. It's probably cached. I'm going to clear the cache. Okay, so I shut down Firefox, restarted. Now I've got my save button. Save. Now be interesting to see if that actually saved. Let's go in here. That's one quick way to test. If we go into project, create new JavaScript file, I'll call it tests, and let's go ds.person.all, save, run. No, it didn't save. Let's see if we can figure out what it is. I'm just going to comment this out. Let's try that. Everything saved. Yes. Refresh. Add person. And let's check our tests. Nope. I'm going to take a second and figure this out. I'll be right back. So I've been working on understanding my misunderstanding about what's going on here. And I just wanted to give you an idea here. This is the name of the data source. I changed it to component person just because there's a person in the main interface page, just to avoid confusion. So I now have person and the data source called comp person. But when I go into Firefox and I call just sources and look for what's in there, I have all the sources from the main interface available, but the one inside the component, and this is something that I haven't experimented with much. I do know that it appends the name of the parent ID to variables and to objects, etc. So this is where the problem is. I'm going to try and figure it out. It's just a little more on this bug here, or my problem of understanding. If I choose this .id, I get the prepend of this. So I'm going to use that to solve the problem. So I'm not able to solve this right now, so I'm going to post these videos and hopefully someone from the forum can spur me along, and I'll finish it when I get that information.